In this game, greatness is measured by the moments that defy the odds. The crack of the bat, the roar of the bleachers, and the rare perfect sequence of excellence. From the first pitch to the final out, we aren't just watching the game, we're breaking it down. From the Empty the Bench Network, it's time for you to step into the box. You are hitting for the cycle. And now, here's your hosts, Ben Cruz, David Waitman, and Ryan Toohey.
And hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Hitting for the Cycle. I am your co-host, Ben Cruz Welch. I'm my co-host, Ryan Toohey, and David Waitman. Guys, we have a very good show for you guys today, as we officially have now gone through about a full-on week of the 2026 MLB season. So before we get started, guys, how are we doing?
Doing pretty good. Baseball is in full swing now. Everybody has started their regular season. Weather's been very good over the past week as well, with the exception of today. It's nasty, it's cold, it's windy out there, and I'm freezing in my own apartment. But other than that, I'm doing splendid, and I'm going to Tampa next weekend, so I'm looking forward to a couple of things going around right now.
How about you, David? How are you doing? David, your mic. You're muted. I can't hear you. Your mic's off. You might have to come back in.
Hold on, let me see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yep. Love technology. Weekend 2 coming in. Week 1 was what I thought it would be. The unpredictable teams that you thought would be good weren't. Teams that you think stink are good. Yeah. So here we are, week 2, and I'm looking forward to some interesting matchups this weekend for sure with some of the things, teams and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll talk about my team a little bit. I'd rather not talk about them right now, but we'll talk about it a little bit. But before we get started, make sure folks to follow us down in the ticker bar down below, Hitting for the Cycle. Make sure to subscribe to the Empty the Bench Network on YouTube. Also follow us across social media at HFTC ETB. Follow the Empty the Bench Podcast Network across social media platforms. So youtube.com/HTB Network. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network. Also to follow Hitting for the Cycle, HFTC ETB, and to also follow me at BCruz90, follow Ryan at R2E97, and follow David at Waitman Stats. So that will be that. And now let's get started into, of course, really what is the big part of our show, and that's, of course, the start of the MLB season officially kicked off a week ago from today, as we talked about obviously on air last week of opening day kicking off and how our teams obviously look. And Ron, I know David obviously hasn't been with us the last couple years on this show, but typically every single first week to second week of the MLB season, we're all hype, we're all getting juice and stuff like that. But sometimes we always have to remember, in terms of the fact is, no matter what happens right now, a lot of these type of records, you got to really kind of take it with a grain of salt in a little bit. As you, obviously, of course, you want to start the seasons off, well. I'm obviously not saying not that, but, it is kind of an overall sign, at least for some teams. You look at a team, for example, like the Miami Marlins are 4-1. Do you think that obviously is going to last the whole entire season? No, probably not. Who is it? The A's are, I think, 1-4, 1-5 right now. The A's, I was really, really high on this year. Do I think that could turn around? Sure. So it's really tough at this point in time. Baseball is really just such a long season. But what I do want to kind of go through is, at least we'll kind of start with our teams and kind of how we did, at least to start. Kind of preview in terms of what we have in terms of our matchups, kind of like we did last week. And then we'll kind of go a little bit more around the league. We really did not do much of that last week because we had other stuff, but this will be kind of more of a roundtable-esque type of how some teams did kind of around the league, who are some players to watch. And David, you obviously are going to be new to this. We did not put this in our notes for this week, but we did bring a segment in last year that Ryan and I did called Who is Hot and Who is Not. And basically what it is every single week, we basically go through at least one player from the week. It's almost like our version of player of the week. And then, of course, Who is Not would be a player that just is just god awful for a week. So you can look at it, could be a lot of guys, but typically we just do one if you do two. It could also be a team. I think, Ron, we started kind of kicking in some teams last year a little bit as well too.
Yeah.
So we are going to obviously run that back because I think we had a lot of fun with that this year as well. So obviously just kind of keep in mind maybe some things about that later on in the program, but we're really going to focus on the start of the season. So I'll start with my team, I guess, to get out of the way, because I know you guys obviously talking about yours. Well, the Red Sox, not necessarily ideal start to the year. I will be in attendance tomorrow for opening day at Fenway Park, regardless in terms of how it's gone. It'll be nice to be back at the park. I was there in January, but obviously it was completely just dead. Obviously, very, very cold. I really wasn't there for that long, but obviously I'm going to be there tomorrow for opening day. Hopefully I get to see some familiar faces. And, I really have never been to an opening day before. I did go to the Red Sox home opener, but it was during the COVID year, in which essentially it was a third week of April, but obviously, COVID obviously pretty much pushed back a couple of weeks of the season. So I don't really count that. So I'll be really excited to kind of see how things go. They're also going to be honoring one of their former teams from a long time ago. I forgot which one they're doing, but it should be a good atmosphere. I think the weather is supposed to be a lot better. So I will hopefully have some coverage for not only just for me, but hopefully for the network, and kind of just having some latest and some stuff, maybe interview a couple of fans, and get some decent content tomorrow. So it should be a good day tomorrow, regardless in terms of how the season's gone so far. And But yeah, I'm looking forward to that for tomorrow. But regardless in terms of how things gone so far for the Sox, it's been nothing short of ugly. I'm a little surprised, a little not. But obviously last week I did predict that we'd go about 3-3 on the homestand, 4-2 at best. This was completely less than ideal at all. I mean, 1-5. This was terrible. They were not competitive a lot of these type of games at the end of the road trip. But obviously, they got off strong. Garrett Crochet, the phenomenal outing, and the first game against the Reds, 3-0. You're like, all right, it's obviously it's one game, granted, but of course you want to take the series. Then Saturday, of course, happens. You had the debut of Sonny Gray. Really wasn't great by him. CV Bucknor is a CV Bucknor game in which he was just calling stuff left and right, just so many bad calls. And of course, we'll talk about, frankly enough, CV Bucknor later on in the program, but he really had a terrible day. The Red Sox actually came back in this game thanks to the game-time homer in the ninth by Willie Bray with 2 outs, but in the extra innings, they had a couple of times in extras just to get cash in. They never did. Kind of a story the last 2 years for the extras for the Sox, and they lost. And then on Sunday, bats really never kind of get going. Connell early actually pitched really, really well, but they only scored 2 runs, and the Red Sox lost the series 2-3 to the Reds. It was tough. I mean, I think the Reds are going to be competitive this year, so it sucked, but you had to go to Houston, hopefully take 2-3, and you kind of feel good about yourself. But instead, you really fall flat on your ass. And the Astros, this overall week against the Astros was nothing short of disaster. The Astros bats really, they kind of gave me the playoff Astros-esque vibes of like the boogeyman in a way. I'm like, oh boy. And partly it was some of us, we defensively were terrible. Running the bases was terrible. Ranger Suarez in his debut was not good. He went only 4 innings, 7 hits, only 4 runs, but leaving a lot of pitches in the zone. Jordan Alvarez, the Red Sox killer, the highest OPS guy. He is our daddy. Brian, of course, we have a lot of daddies. Jordan Alvarez is legit our daddy. He is the David Ortiz against us. I don't know. Still don't understand why we pitched on. It's ridiculous. But regardless of the fact, We got our ass kicked 8-1. Going back to Tuesday, Red Sox went back, and pretty much it was the microcosm. If you pretty much want to have a similar schedule for Monday, basically just film it about 24 hours later, and you get pretty much the same result because it was never even better. Hunter Brown, who's obviously their ace, always usually mows us down. The offensive approach was nothing short of disaster. It was lifeless. Roman Anthony, 4 punchies on Tuesday. It was a terrible day for Roman, but a lot of the bats are just really not performing. And Connor Juan, who's probably one of our worst hitters last year, is one of our actually guys that hit right now, is kind of sad, to say the least. Willie Abreu, thankfully enough, Willie has done a good start to the year, but there's really no cohesion at all. Whether it's the hitting is just completely in a freaking funk. The starting pitching is really not giving them a lot of length. And yeah, just a lot of just stuff going behind the scenes. Carlos Narvaez was supposed to be in the lineup yesterday. Alex Cora ended up benching him. They said it wasn't because of injury. That could be same potential because of disciplinary actions, but he was on the bench. So it's not ideal at all to start. I know. I'm obviously I want to come in and start doing an overall rant to start 1-5 of the season because I don't think that's right. But what I will say is, this was really bad. This was really, really bad. And I will say there's still a lot left of the season. Yesterday's game, you're like, all right, Garrett Crochet's coming up on the bump. And unfortunately, Garrett didn't have it. He had a really tough start in Houston last year. He did not have it again yesterday. And he said after the game that, like an ace does, and I'm really happy that he said it. He basically said, he let his team down, only going 5 innings. He did have 7 strikeouts, but he obviously, the thing about the Astros that beat us a lot was the homer ball. They really, a lot of guys on base. They pushed the tempo. They basically did the opposite of what the Red Sox did the whole entire week, and they got embarrassed. Melissa Contreras, I think, started to break out a little bit the last couple of games, so that is at least a positive. There's really not a lot of positives to take out of a lot of stuff, but I hopefully think, on the off day today, which I think they need desperately, they get to go home and they take on the San Diego Padres. I've kind of had a slow start as well, too. Michael King against Sonny Gray tomorrow for the home opener, so that should be very exciting. We'll see in terms of how that goes. Hopefully, I can start changing the vibes by showing up to the park tomorrow, and hopefully the fans do not boo the start. I do think that'll be kind of a bad look because you're 1-5. Yeah, it's terrible, but at least go and support. There's still a lot of ball left. And then on Saturday, you got Randy Vasquez, your former Yankee rival. So we got to actually face 2 former Yankees for the Padres in the next first 2 games of the series, taking on Connolly early. And then on Easter Sunday, we have Walker Buehler, former friend, against Ranger Suarez for the bump cap. And then we have against the Brewers next week, from Monday through Wednesday, Brandon Woodruff against Bayo on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to have an absolute dandy, a game that will probably be absolutely no runs scored, and that'll be Jacob Mizorowski against Garrett Crochet. Expect Garrett to obviously have a much better game after this last one. He usually never has back-to-back bad ones. And then Wednesday, you have Chad Patrick against Sonny Gray. So, I mean, listen, I hate to predict right now because I was really, really wrong the first 2 weeks, the first 2 stands. But I'll go on a limb here and say this. I think that the Red Sox will take at least 2 games out of 6. I don't know if they're going to take 3, but I will say is I do think that these games are going to be much better. I think they'll be more competitive. I think the off day today will hopefully start to reignite things. I just think getting behind the fans as well too, hopefully get some spark going. And the Red Sox, they're 1-5 now. If they can get themselves into even 3-6, I'll even take 3-6, and you're playing much better ball. I'll feel a little bit more optimistic. But whatever that hell that was in the first 2 series was nothing short of disaster. So. I wish I could be a little more positive about my Sox, but man, there really was not much to say.
All right, so I guess I'll go with the Yankees now, I suppose. So in last week's episode, I said that I predict that the Yankees will go 3-3 on their West Coast swing to begin the season, and they exceeded my expectations. They went 5-1. So after shutting out the Giants 7-0 in Game 1. Cam Schlittler picked up where he left off last season by shutting down the Giants' offense in Game 2. The Yankees won Game 2 by a score of 3-0. Another shutout win for the Yankees, back-to-back shutout wins for them to begin the season, holding the Giants to one measly little hit the entire game. In Game 2, Aaron Judge and Giancarlo went yard in Game 2 for their first home runs of the season, respectively. And David Bednar got his first save of the season in the second game. And like I said, the Yankees won that game pretty easily, 3-0. And then in the finale in Game 3, this was the game that I originally had the Giants winning because Will Warren was the starter for the Yankees in Game 3, and he wasn't as sharp as Max Fried nor Cam Schlittler. But, Warren held down the fort as best as he could. And he pitched pretty respectably for the most part. He did go 4 1/3 innings, and he did get the win. But he did. Oh no, he didn't get the win. I'm sorry, but he went 4 1/3. He struck out 3. But the Giants did cross home plate for the first time in 2026 in the third game of the series. Took them 21 innings to score their first run of the season, and they finally did that in the bottom of the third on an RBI single by Matt Chapman. But that was it. The Giants couldn't do anything else but that. Aaron Judge hit his second home run of the season in the final game of the series, and the Yankees won the third game 3-1 to sweep the opening series in San Francisco. So it was a great way to begin the season for the Yankees. Apparently, there was a meeting before the final game of that series that was hosted by Judge, Stanton, and Goldschmidt, basically emphasizing to the Yankee players to not let their foot off the gas and make sure that they finish business, because last year they took their foot off the gas way too many times and allowed the other team to beat them in the finale. And as a result, the Yankees had to settle for being a wild card team, and they were the ones who were playing the majority of their games in Toronto for, the division series, and that probably cost them. You just weren't able to seal the deal a lot last year. So the 3 veterans on that team made sure to emphasize that to the younger guys. So the Yankees sweep the opening series in San Francisco. They had a rare Sunday off, and then they went to Seattle to take on the Mariners. On Monday, March 30th, they dropped the first game 2-1. Luis Castillo shut down the Yankee offense, which I expected. The Yankees never do well against Luis Castillo. The Yankees managed to tie the game in the top of the 7th inning, but they were walked off in the bottom of the 9th inning by Cal Raleigh, an RBI single. For some reason, Aaron Boone stuck with Paul Blackburn in that situation, which I don't understand. Many Yankee fans were questioning that move.
Did anybody left in the extras round? Or I didn't watch the ending.
We could have won with
the ball.
No, well, he took Duvall out after just 2 pitches, which drives me crazy when he does that. He tried.
That's
Boone,
crazy. Wow.
Boone he micromanages the crap out of that bullpen sometimes. He's gonna burn that bullpen before we hit June. So but it is what it is. We weren't going 162-0, so the Mariners
Get that out.
Win the first game 2-1, which I predicted. Then in the second game of that series, Max Fried delivered another masterclass performance, shutting down the Mariner offense. Fried went 7 innings, gave up just 3 hits, a walk, and struck out 6, and still has a perfect ERA of 0. And the Yankees won that game 5-0. And another one for the Yankees where they didn't hit a home run. So that was also nice to see. And then in yesterday's finale, Wednesday, April 1st, the Yankees defeated the Mariners by a score of 5-3. They jumped ahead 4-0. Paul Goldschmidt hit his first home run of the season yesterday against George Kirby. I'm sorry, and that was Goldschmidt's first home run against a right-handed pitcher since, you'll like this, Ben, since the game we went to last June 6th against the Red Sox.
Are you kidding me?
No, that was the last time he hit a home run against a right-handed starting pitcher.
Wow.
The game that we went to.
Okay, right. I knew, of course, he didn't have great splits against righties. I did not actually think that was a reality. Wow.
That was the last time he hit a home run against a right-handed pitcher
I
before.
can't help but laugh, Ron. I don't even know what to say about that. Wow.
They brought that stat up when I was watching the game yesterday, and when I saw the date, I was like, hey, we were at that game.
David, if you didn't know, David, Ron and I were at we typically go to a couple Red Sox Yankee games, and That was the first of two we
That
went
was the
through.
first one, yeah.
First one, yeah. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. I forget. Was it against Bueller? I think, or did they?
Yeah, it was a game. Walker got 5 runs shelled in the first inning.
But they take him out in like the second or third. It doesn't matter who it was against, but that was
then we came back. We had a little fake comeback, and you guys still won by like 5 runs or something.
Yeah. But yes, so Goldschmidt hit his first home run of the season, and the Yankees got another outstanding performance from Cam Schlittler, who is also perfect. So far in the early goings of the season, it's a battle between Schlittler and Fried to remain as perfect as possible. We'll see if those two keep it up throughout the duration of the season and maybe are mentioned in Cy Young candidacy. I said Schlittler could be the Cy Young Award just for fun. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but, who knows? If he continues to pitch like this throughout the course of the season with Max Fried, sign me up. So the Yankees bullpen gave me a little bit of a heart attack, first heart attack of the season. The Mariners crept back into it. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning on a single by Raleigh, and they scored 1 in the bottom of the 9th off of David Bednar. But the Yankees held on to win 5-3. Ben Rice also hit his first home run of the season in the top of the 9th. And the Yankees take 2 out of 3 from the Mariners, and they go 5-1 on the road trip to begin the season. So a very nice start for the Yankees. The pitching has been fantastic, especially Schlittler and Fried. The two of them have just been a very strong 1-2 punch in the early goings of the season. And it's been good to see the Yankees not only score their runs via the home run. I really want them to just play more fundamental baseball. And they did do that a lot in the second game against Seattle. They were running the bases very aggressively. But yesterday was probably, even though the Yankees won the final game against the Mariners, it was the sloppiest of all of their games probably because Jazz got picked off first base when he was putting on his sliding glove. He fell asleep behind the wheel, essentially.
Like Lindor. Yeah, Lindor had that as well, too.
Yes, so that still drives me crazy. And like I said, David Bednar, he's got 3 saves so far in the early part of the season, but it's never easy. No matter who the Yankee closer is going to be, they're no Mariano Rivera. Those days are long gone, and I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that no 9th inning is going to be easy anymore ever again. So,
David, if you remember the game, Ryan, I'd rather not just rub this into you, but we're talking about Yankee closers, so I kind of have to in a way. But David, do you remember Masataka Yoshida's homer against Clay Holmes? The game-tying homer at all?
I don't think so. I have to look at a video, but probably not now.
Okay. If you can watch that home run, Ryan and I were actually at that game.
Okay.
And so Ryan's talking about cardiac closers. The Red Sox legit tied with 2 outs in the top of the 9th, and then the rest was history from there.
Okay.
So, I don't want to rub that into Ryan because Ryan's obviously doing well right now, but I had to have that.
If there's any consolation for you, Ben, I know you said that. I know Red Sox fans are obviously upset right now. Obviously, another slow start to the season, and the Yankees, another good start to the season. But I've seen this script played out so many times before. Ben, just mark your calendar for the weekend of June 5th at Yankee Stadium when the Red Sox play the Yankees for the first time at Yankee Stadium, and that'll be the turnaround, and that's when we'll go into our June swoon.
Okay. Well, Ryan, it's crazy. We've had, in terms of our starts, every single year besides 2018, frankly enough, we've always had bad starts. We were 2-4 last year for the start of the year, and I feel like you said something last year the same thing too. And I was calling you crazy. I don't know what I was thinking, and we were running high at that point in time. But we'll see. I mean, I can already tell right now that the Bregman, losing him is a really, really tough thing when it comes to leadership. But, yeah. Ron, I hope you're right.
So, yeah, Yankees now return home for the first time this season. They have a 6-game homestand against Miami and the A's. Miami off to a nice start this year. And honestly, you know what? Being unbiased, I'll say the Marlins take 2 out of 3 from us at Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
We got Will Warren going tomorrow in the home opener. And like I said, I'm not really fond of Will Warren. I think he can get smacked around. And the Marlins can be pesky.
Though, right?
The Marlins can be a pesky team. So I think the
Marlins are leading the Major League Baseball in hitting.
Yeah.
I do think some of that is kind of like outlandish right now. I mean,
Right.
they haven't played great teams, but give them credit. That's obviously kind of why I said the Marlins are 4-1, but I'm looking at the back of my head like they're not exactly playing.
They played the Rockies.
Well, the Rockies took 2 out of 3 from Toronto. I mean, that's why baseball's a weird. I mean, the Red Sox 1-4, but you for the people that are laughing at the Red Sox's face, like it's not like they faced the Cardinals and the Rockies the first 2 series. Like we faced the Red and the Astros, so it wasn't. I mean, yeah, 1 win out of 1-5 is not ideal, but it's not like we faced like as garbage teams. Like we just got beat, but And Ryan, I don't want to tell you this, but I have a fear that the Astros might be better than what we think.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
I don't know why. That if Jordan is locked in, the Astros are going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. So, yeah, I could see. I will predict that the Marlins will take 2 out of 3 from the Yanks, and I think that the Yankees will take 2 out of 3 from the A's.
Okay.
For a 500 home stand. So, yeah.
So then you're saying you're going to go 5-1 again. That's not what you're saying. You're kind of following the last script, which I do respect.
The crazy thing about this Yankees homestand, they're facing the best hitting team in baseball and the worst hitting team in baseball. A's are batting 176, I think 177 or 176 a team.
Yeah, you see, David, you think that the roles would be opposite. The A's, I think, to me, are going to have one of the better lineups of baseball down the rest of the season.
Yes.
But they're 176 so far in the start. So that's why when you think about it with all these clues, that's why it's really tough to take a lot of the overall stuff like serious right now.
You can't take any of this too seriously right now. It's way too early.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, David, Ryan and I have had some rants, for the last couple of years. At times it's been a lot of fun. But it's even for me when 1-5, I have some Red Sox fans already, flipping out. I'm like, guys, it's not ideal. Trust me, it's not ideal. But give it to about Memorial Day, and if it's like the way it went right now, I'll jump on board. But I can't right now. I can't.
Yeah.
So, all right, David, your Phillies. How you guys went 500? So.
Yeah, I mean they were 3-3, lost 2 or 3 to Texas.
Yeah.
Somehow won 2 or 3 against the Nats. They should have lost yesterday. I was there. Got booed out of the building by the 7th inning. I mean, the problem, they have a couple problems, like you said. Mm-hmm. They had 12 hits yesterday. 9 of them were the bottom 4 of the lineup. Mm-hmm. I think Sosa got a hit at the end, helped them actually win, played really good defense. Real Muto, I think, had 2 hits. Justin Crawford, who I'm not surprised what he's doing. 3 hits, won the game for him. Mm-hmm. Marsh had a hit, but I saw what it is. So here we go after 6 games. Top 4 hitters. Trey Turner, batting champ, 192. Kyle Schwarber, 182. Bryce Harper, 120. Bohm, 95. Those are your averages for the top 4 hitters on our team. Overall, they're hitting 220 as a team. But that's not really the problem. I mean, the problem is the big money guys not doing. Their bigger issue is their pitching. They are next to last, and thankfully for the Chicago White Sox, they are, Team ERA's 5.46. They've allowed 61 hits and 56 innings pitched so far. Painter has looked great. Christopher Sanchez has been incredible. His ERA is under 1. 0.79. Their closer Durant's look good, but where's the problem? Okay, Aaron Nola came in, did Aaron Nola. He got shelled against Texas, gave up another home run as usual. Taijuan Walker didn't throw above 92 miles an hour with fastballs. $18 million this year. As I said, thankfully the last year.
Yeah, you got to cut that, I think.
He got killed.
It was batting practice. It was 4-0 after 1 inning. It was 7 after 3, and he was like, they're done. But I think they have no choice but to keep him in there for now until Wheeler gets back, who's doing the rehab in Durham, I think tonight or something like that. Zach's down there for a second rehab start. But the other issue too, and also Jesus Luzardo got shelled too. Andrew McCutcheon took a fastball and like roped it for a home run. And I mean, like you said, first week, first bad starts, you see what happens. But the bigger issue was the bullpen. Let's see if I get this right. They got a guy, Kyle Backus from Arizona. First week, his ERA's 20. Got absolutely talk about batting practice. Jesus, horrendous. Jose Alvarado, who actually pitched yesterday as well, but his ERA's at 15. Too many hits left.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was same thing.
Wow.
Hits, wild.
I remember he used to be unhittable.
No, he's had a really bad start. Brad Keller, who they picked up from the Cubs, big contract. His ERA is 9. Gave up a 3-run homer yesterday to about 170-pound C.J. Abrams. That's where the booze reigned. That's where everybody said, we're out of here before the comeback. Bolin, who they got for the Matt Strom deal, his ERA is 9. Been getting hit around. So they got Zach Pop has been like, It's just a bad start. Like I said, the first week, they're just not playing well. And as I said, thankfully for the White Sox, who just don't know how to pitch. They're, like you said, they're the saviors. They're not literally at the bottom. So they got Colorado. They're on the road, thankfully. Colorado for 3. Nola, I think it's Luzardo and Taiwan Walker against the Rockies. So,
hey, I mean, David,
I know
3 from the Jays. You never know.
The thing I looked at was the starter tomorrow is ex-Philly Michael Lorenzen. I'm like, he'll probably pitch a shutout against the Phillies, but I'm going to say they win 2 out of 3 on that one. I don't know why. I'm just going to say you do this. And then they're at the Giants, who another team can't hit, batting 201 as a squad. That surprises me. And the guy, by the way, I picked to win the Cy Young got shelled by the Yankees, Logan Webb. I mean, that was brutal. So
yeah, he never pitches well against the Yankees, unfortunately. So
yeah,
the Yankee problem.
Yeah, that one there, I wouldn't be surprised if the Phillies lost 2 out of 3 or got swept. Phillies have nightmares in San Francisco in terms of they can't win there for whatever reason. So yeah, it was shaky first week. I mean, it really could have been worse. I mean, they should be thankful 3-3, but I mean, and you know it's bad, and Ryan could probably back this up, and you could back this up. Game 4, you have position player throwing pitches in Tyler Moore. When they lost 13-2 on Monday, they brought him in the 9th inning. That's when you know.
So in that game on Monday, I watched every pitch from start to finish, and that was very hideous. And like you mentioned, I mean, Walker got smacked around. I mean, Alvarado came in and Alvarado had nothing that night.
No,
the pitching was just bad the whole way, and the hitting was also pretty bad. So,
yeah.
You're right. That you're lucky that they went 3-3 on that homestand.
That's the thing that reminds me. The first 3 games against Texas, each game the hitting struck out 10 times or more against Texas. And by the way, Jacob deGrom didn't pitch because his neck got hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, yep.
Jesus, They just and then I'm not going to rip the guy too bad, but Ruben Amaro's excuse for why the Phillies aren't hitting is, well, he didn't get enough spring training at bats. And I'm like, whose fault's that? Like, my thing is this.
You can't.
Yeah. No, my thing is this. First of all, it's the World Baseball. Don't go to that. Or the other thing is, you have those practice fields that have simulated games and just saying, we're just going to throw fastballs, and you guys didn't get your at-bats in, whatever. It's a simulated game. Have minor league guys throw the ball, like whatever it is in 90+, and then you get your at-bats in. But that's an excuse. It's just these guys just are not ready. They just aren't. So, especially Alec Bohm.
David, to make anything feel better, at least for your sake, when you come to the top of the lineup for your Phils, the Dodgers. I just looked this morning before the recording.
Right.
Shohei Ohtani, 167 average, 590 OPS. Kyle Tucker, 174, 457 OPS. My boy Mookie, I love you, Mookie, but not great. 136 average in the 3-hole, 558 OPS.
Right.
Freddie Freeman, 208, 615 OPS. Freddie Freeman obviously hit a homer yesterday, but that's what regards health. This is obviously after from last night. Will Smith, 200 average, 700 OPS. And then Teoscar Hernandez, 238, 476 OPS. Granted, like I said, these obviously the Dodgers. I'm not worried about the line for the Dodgers at all. They're so loaded, so they're obviously going to turn it up. But that's why, David, and that makes any feel better. This is all the stats that I'm reading from arguably probably one of the greatest lineups probably ever seen in baseball. In the last years, And basically from 1 to 7, they didn't have anybody that was hitting 250 or no, actually Muncie is hitting 286, but pretty much one of like 6, 7 guys is hitting over 250 average wise.
Right.
So I will say, I mean, you guys went 3-3 and you guys didn't play well. I mean, shit, I'd take that over what we had 1-5, right? So I mean, but like, I'm not even like worried right now. The fact is, like, I should be. But yeah, I mean, that's obviously the fun of it. I call it always the overreaction week,
Right.
throughout the year, because there's so much of like, oh yeah, first couple weeks, we're in the World Series. Oh, this team stinks. We should be a lot better. This guy needs to get cut. Caleb Durbin from my boys, playing starting third base. I've been ripping him left to right as a starting third baseman. He hasn't had a hit yet, but I'm like, I got to give him time because it's so early. The early excuse definitely will probably not be an excuse probably by Memorial Day. I think, Rod, that's kind of the overall the motto we've kind of said the last couple of years is when you get to about Memorial Day, the it's still early excuse if your team isn't playing well. It's pretty much it's what you are. And David, I know Ryan and I have usually had a blueprint, at least on the show, that you pretty much kind of know what team you are by Memorial Day. And then when you get to the trade deadline, that's basically in terms of like your checkpoint. So in terms of like where you kind of stand. So
Right.
if you're at the trade deadline, you're pretty much right over 500. You're basically looking at a team that's going to be buying. If you're in the middle, like 500, you basically look like you could be buying or selling. And then you look at a team probably like the White Sox, the Marlins, and all these type of teams at the bottom of the barrel, more likely than not selling pieces. So obviously it's still early. I mean, I'm looking at like this is a type of team that's a record of 1-4 that wouldn't shock me to be probably bad the rest of the year. And Ryan, you probably think of what that team is, the Minnesota Twins. They're 1-4. They're probably not going to be good a lot of this year. So that there are obviously some teams early on that obviously aren't great. But I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays lost 2-3 to the Rockies. Does that mean that they're a bad baseball team? No. I mean, because baseball is obviously a long game. It's mad crazy early for that. The Mets lost 2-3 to the Cardinals. Cardinals aren't supposed to be great, so it's just great that baseball's back because, of course, we can kind of just talk about some things left and right. And to be frankly honest, not a lot of the big boppers around the league have really kind of gotten going. Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, Shohei Ohtani, those three guys are arguably three of the best power hitters in the game, and they've had really slow starts so far this year. So, I mean, hint, that might be one of my who's not. I don't know. But, it's crazy to think, right? So,
yeah.
But we will now go into our next topic because we want 40 minutes on this.
Right.
Oh, wow. Let's go into this next topic here. So the Mariners agreed to an 8-year contract extension with 20-year-old shortstop Colt Emerson. First of all, guys, do you guys know anything about this kid? I really had to do a little bit of research on him. I really don't know much, but heck, give credit to the Mariners, I guess. 8 years, of course, is a lot. For a guy that really has not proven himself at all in the major leagues, but I guess they really have a lot of promise in this kid. So I don't know. There's really not for me to say a lot of, just to say congrats to the Mariners because I don't really know much about him. But Ryan or David, do you guys have any thoughts about this?
Oh, he's the number 7 overall prospect in Major League Baseball, so he's highly ranked. And I think the Mariners just really like what they see from this kid. I mean, he's only 20 years old, so there's a lot of promise for him. And he just really, I think the Mariners just really like the prospect that he has to offer. I mean, the Mariners have had J.P. Crawford at shortstop for the past couple of seasons now, so he's obviously going to be getting older. So they're planning for the future, and they're hoping that Emerson is able to just really take off and is able to become part of that core nucleus with guys like Julio and Cal in the next couple of seasons. So. I'm just looking at his stats so far, and in the minors, I mean, he's been hitting very well. In 2023, he hit 374, but that was a small sample. It was 24 games. He hit 263 in 2024. That was 70 games. And last year, between 3 teams in AA and AAA, he batted 285. He had 28 doubles, 16 home runs, and 78 runs batted in. So there's signs of improvement.
What was his OPS looking like, Ron?
What's that?
What was his OPS looking like?
His OPS last year was 841.
Solid. Okay.
So he's definitely showing signs of improvement. And last year was really his first full season of minor league baseball. So I guess he really just impressed the Mariners, and they trust him, and they just wanted to reward him with a very long contract. So we'll see if it ends up working out for the Mariners in the end.
David, do you have anything?
Yeah, the one thing is, I was just looking. I mean, I saw his stats, like Ryan most mentioned just now too. The thing is, this is becoming a trend now in Major League Baseball. You got this signing. I just looked at it. The Brewers just did with Cooper Pratt, 8 years, $50 million. He's in AAA Nashville. He's a shortstop. That's one. Connor Griffin was, I think, rumored to be given an offer if he would have made the team this year.
Yeah.
So
I love that kid. Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is going to be the new trend. You get a hot prospect. Before whatever it happened with who's the guy I'm thinking of? Christian, the guy who plays for the Red Sox. Didn't he get? Yeah, he got like So I mean, it's like sign this guy to a reasonable big money thing, whatever it is, and then you don't get killed later on, and then by the time he's 25, 26, 27, 28, then he'll get the big contract. I mean, the Phillies did that way back when, and this is not numbers, but it was like with Scott Kingery.
Before
he even played I think he got a 5-year, $25 million deal before he even, like you said, it was the same thing. And that was during the Gabe Kapler era, and it never really panned out. Although now he's back in the major league with the Cubs, I believe. So that seems like it's like a new trend here going on. Sign these guys early, give them a good contract even before they make the majors, and then, they go. So yeah, with this guy Emerson, I heard some stuff about him. I saw some of his numbers. It looks good. So we'll see. I mean, the main thing, at least for Seattle, he has good average, which is a rarity for the Mariners because those guys really don't hit. So he's batting 270, 280. Hey, wish him the best.
Yeah. So congrats to him. Our next thing is going to be this. I was going to ask both of you guys this. So, and I talked about this on ETB Lounge on Sunday with Nick and some others. Shout out to them. Hope you guys see the show. But what are your thoughts so far, guys, of the ABS system? Has this been something that you have obviously probably seen so far in terms of some things? We actually, frankly enough, had our first ever yesterday walk-off call on the ABS in the Rangers and Orioles game. There was a pitch thrown by Albert Suarez that was framed by Samuel Basayo. It was not called a strike. I think it was Suarez that put the head on, and they went to the replay. It was clear strike, and that's how the game ended. So you already kind of got a decent glimpse of it. C.B. Bucknor, of course, was part of my game against the Reds. This guy is by far me the worst umpire. He has run its course. I love how much of a fool he's looked to. For this, it's unfortunate he got hurt yesterday during the Rays Brewers game. But I mean, I love this ABS stuff. I do. I know a lot of people have been complaining at times that can maybe prolong the games a little bit. I haven't really seen it. I feel like they do really well in terms of put the head on, put on your head, in terms of, if you want it, they go to the replay. It's probably about 2-3 minutes, and then they go back to the broadcast. So, it's really not long at all. There's obviously been quite a bit of tough calls in it. Ryan, for your sake of things, because, I mean, obviously you're the Yankee fan, how much have you really kind of see it during your game so far?
Well, it's benefited the Yankees. I believe right now in the early goings of the season, they lead Major League Baseball in correctly successful ABS challenges. So it's been good for the Yankees so far.
Well, that's good.
Personally, for me, I'm just more relieved than anything else that some of these calls are getting, overturned, because obviously some of these balls and strike calls have been so egregiously bad over the past couple of years. So it's more relief than anything else. I do like how it's set up, how teams are limited to 2 incorrect challenges. Because if they just continuously challenged ABS, if they had an unlimited amount, then everybody would be challenging every single pitch. So thank God there's a limit on that. I think the way that baseball has constructed this is appropriate. I think it's a good way for them to go about it. But yeah, I'm glad that that we're finally at the point where some of these calls are getting overturned. And I mean, it's going to be a bad look for some of these umpires like C.B. Bucknor, who's been around forever. He's one of the oldest umpires still umpiring in Major League Baseball. He's been around since the 90s, I believe. So, the game's catching up with some of these older umpires. So it's going to be a bad look for them when they get behind home plate and they're missing all these calls left, right, up, and down. But, baseball had to do this because the calls were just getting so bad and they were costing teams in big moments. I mean, no better example than the Padres last year in the final game of the wild card series against the Cubs, where Bogarts was called out on that pitch low, which was on the strike zone. So it was overdue, if you ask me. But nonetheless, it's here, and I think a lot of people can at least breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I mean, the Aaron Judge, of course, has been called for that low strike for probably ever since he's been drafted, to be honest, because in terms of how tall he is and, the pitchers, of course, want to pitch it pretty much right on the bottom part. And I did see probably the only one part of the game I saw for your Yanks run yesterday was when Aaron Judge was at the plate and Raleigh, of course, framed it up right in the bottom part. And I don't know who it was, but they called the challenge. And usually more times than not, that would have been a strike, without the ABS. In the past, of course, when Aaron Judge, of course, has had to look back at the umpire almost half the time and say, really? Well, now you have the ABS in your favor, of course, if it's worked. Of course, Ron, I did not know the Yankees, of course, have been great so far with it, so it's even been better for you. But, of course, for Judge's sake of things, now that pitch, of course, was a ball, so it has worked. And I do like it. I do obviously like the limit as well, too, like you mentioned, Ron. So, hopefully it just keeps on working, just like the pitch clock has been. I think the pitch clock, of course, has been great from last year. A lot of people kind of criticizing about it. And now you obviously have the ABS coming in as well. So baseball, of course, you want to talk about a dead sport, updating all this type of crap. It's been going fine. Obviously the thing that, of course, is going to suck, of course, will be the lockout, if anything, next year. But, I don't want to think about that right now. So, David, what do you think? Anything about the ABS that you have been in favor for, not in favor for, but do you like it?
We talked about how bad teams were the first week. Nobody had a worse first week than C.B. Bucknor. 28 calls missed behind the plate, blew a call at first base, which nobody really, that might be one of the worst things I've ever seen. So bad that both managers laughed at each other over this thing of the players because how botched he is.
Really?
Oh,
I can imagine that. Wow.
Bro, everybody look up. Just look up if you go on Twitter X. C.B. Bucknor first base. The whole thing of just how he botched it is one of the worst things. He didn't see the ball. The first base. The guy overran it. Whatever it was. Long story. The guy tags the guy runner. He calls him out. They do a replay and he's just like Ryan said. He's bad. I first of all, with ABS, I love it. I think it's great for the game. Shows up some of these umpires. I think one or two of them are going to be at the end of this year will not be a home plate umpire anymore. Maybe not even umpire, period. C.B. Bucknor's one. Laz Diaz is the other one. Major League Baseball might have to do what I call the angel, and that is just give him a buyout and just say get out of here and just go retire. C.B. Bucknor's just really bad as an umpire. It was like you said, it's real bad. I don't know as any sort of slowdown. With ABS, they do it. It's quick. They keep the game moving. Overall, I don't think the umps have been getting killed by it because if it's like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, okay, you're just missing it. It's bad when you're like 1.5 or 2.0. That's when you know it's really bad. So no, I think it's just it'll keep getting better, and you just gotta improve the game. So and hopefully, like I said, with C.B. Bucknor, he's not doing a lot of plate calls behind the plate. And Chris Rose even said he might get to the point where he goes, look, I'll umpire just not behind home plate, which I don't know if he could do or not, but it might get that bad for C.B. Bucknor.
Yeah, no, when you were talking, I literally just saw the clip on John Boy Media. Shout out to John Boy in terms of a lot of their clips they have on that type of stuff. And I could just see, like, Kevin Kraft was not trying to – they were down, obviously, in the game, but he was, trying tried to break a smirk out going through that game. And he just – even Jake Bowers, like, after the call, he just was standing at first base, just chuckling and stuff.
Yeah.
They all know he's a joke. They all
Yeah.
know he's just bad at this point in time of what he does.
Oh,
Yeah, Angel Hernandez, there was the first comment that I wrote on Twitter saying it looks like he's going to be taking over Angel Hernandez's job when it comes to the worst guy managing in baseball. But
yes.
it's we'll see how things go. But yeah, I agree with you. There was a lot of tough. My Red Sox. A couple of teams that have really tough starts, but Bucknor might have taken the cake for it all. So that's kind of it. All right, David, welcome to Who's Hot, Who Is Not. So Ryan and I will play the game first. Of course, this will be the start of this season. Ryan, do you want to go just players just for this year to start and then go team, or do you just want to kind of just mix it, go right away into both? It's kind of tough to do team because legitimately the season just started. So I'd say, give probably the team like mid part of the season and kind of rock from there.
Sure.
So we'll just kind of go players at least to start.
All right.
So for me, my who is hot player, and congratulations to this player, Joey Weimer from the Washington Nationals. You probably will not be hearing that name at all the remainder of the season, but it's the first week of the season. Joey Weimer, 588 average, 682 OBP, and a 1,059 slug. That you are the my who is hot guy. Listen, this guy is kind of a journeyman type of player, but he absolutely rocked. He had 3 hits in the first 2 games of the season against the Cubs. He had 2 hits against your Phillies. Actually, he went, 4 of 11 in the Phillies series. I mean, he did really, really well to start the year. Joey Weimer, my who is hot. My who is not. I don't want to go with some of like the boppers per se. I just think that's kind of a boring type of pick. You know what? David, I'll go to you. Who's your who is hot player of the week?
Well, I already gave you my who's not, and that was Bryce Harper. But I'll break out the who's hot, and actually Ryan will probably see him next week. How about Shea Langoliers for the catcher for the A's?
Both of you stole my guy, but
sorry. I have a couple.
I had Joey Weimer first, and then once he said that, then I go, okay, I'll go Shea Langoliers, and then you say Shea Langoliers.
So anyway, yeah, he had 5 home runs this past week for a team who's batting 177. And I'll give you my who's not also with that team. Kurtz, who's batting 059. I mean, surprise for the big Amish, bopper they call him, whatever. I forget his name. Yeah. So that's what I was trying to see if there's anybody else. I thought it was kind of high. It was early on the thing, and he kind of cooled off. Was Mike Trout. He's walked a lot the first week of the season for the Yankees. I mean, he's down to 260. He was at one point he was hitting about 450, and he's walking a lot. Now, I mean, granted, it's week 1, but yeah, that's a guy. I'll be curious to see how he does the first month of the season, like May 1st or so. But that's another one I'll keep an eye on.
All right, I got my who is not, by the way. Brian, to me it's Trent Christian. Oh no, I'm sorry, not Trent Christian. Ryan McMahon from the New York Yankees. Ryan McMahon had nothing short of disaster of a start of the season. And Ryan, I don't want to obviously say it because that's your name. And it's just Ryan. It's Ryan McMahon that decided to start.
All right. So my who is hot in the early part of the season, Yandy Diaz from the Rays. He's off to a very good
Red Sox, please.
He currently leads Major League Baseball in hits with 12. So he's hitting 429, 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and a 1.127 OPS. So Yandy Diaz channeling his inner Barry Bonds in the early parts of the 2026 baseball season. So congratulations, Yandy, for this award of Who's Hot, courtesy of yours truly. And my who is not, Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners.
Really?
He is off to a putrid start this season.
Really?
2 for 26 to begin the season. 0.77 with just 1 RBI. He has an OPS of 277 to begin the season. And he has also struck out 10 times. He is striking out in every conceivable big spot imaginable. The Mariners as a whole are striking out at a ridiculous rate. For a team that all 3 of us have winning the pennant this year,
that's not good for Florida Truthers right now.
I know it's 6 games, but I'm telling you right now, if this is going to be a trend throughout the rest of the season, the strikeouts, they are going to be shooting themselves in the foot because the Astros could be back. I know it's 6 games, take it with a grain of salt, but the Astros, I'm sure, are using missing last year's postseason as motivation to get back into the postseason this year, and they could be a threat. And the Mariners, we all know that they have a history problem with strikeouts. They better get over this. They better figure out how to put the ball in play more because it's going to hurt them in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
My honorary who is hot before we can conclude the program, Juan Soto. Juan Soto last year, Ron, if you remember, of course, he just came to the Mets. Yeah, sorry. But Juan Soto, honestly, the Mets really didn't have a lot of guys going for them. I mean, Bo Bichette, my goodness. You talk about just a slow start to the year. Do not look at Frank Fleming's videos. Granted, enough for him, but man. And Bichette will be fine. But Soto, 346, only 1 homer. But, I mean, he's really the only guy doing anything right now for the Mets lineup besides a couple of guys. Marcus Semien, yeesh. We really didn't talk about the Mets so far a lot in this program. But Juan Soto obviously started off well. But that'll do it, folks, for another edition of Hitting for the Cycle. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials as put in terms of the ticker down below. Also, make sure to see us for next week's program on another edition. Ryan will not be with us because Ryan will be in Tampa next week. So, Ryan, really quickly, my friend, hopefully you enjoy your trip. You'll be seeing the Yankees take on the Rays. I will be at opening day tomorrow for the Red Sox and the Padres. Hopefully the season starts and shifts tomorrow for us after having a terrible start. We'll see what happens. And go UConn this weekend against Illinois. Really quickly, guys, you guys have any champion prediction by any chance for March Madness before we call it?
UConn wins again.
Zona.
Ryan, I hope you're right. We got to represent Big East strong. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys later.